The day before our wedding, my fiancé Daniel stood in the doorway, tie half done, voice unusually careful. My mom wants you at dinner tonight. It shouldn't have felt like a warning, but it did. His mother, Eleanor Whitmore, had never liked me. Not openly, not in a way anyone could point at. She smiled too politely, spoke too softly, and somehow made every sentence feel like a test I hadn't studied for. Still, this was the night before our wedding. I told myself this was her way of finally accepting me. Of course, I said, forcing a smile. Daniel looked relieved. That should have been my first clue. Her house was exactly how I remembered it. Immaculate, cold, every cushion perfectly placed like it had never been touched by a real person. When we walked in, she greeted Daniel with a warm hug. For me, she offered a glance. "You're late," she said, even though we weren't. Dinner was already set. Fine china, crystal glasses, the kind of setup that made you sit straighter without realizing it. We hadn't even started eating when she began. "So," she said, cutting her steak with precise movements, "tell me again what your family does." It wasn't a question. It was an inspection. I swallowed. "My dad runs a small workshop. My mom." Yes, yes," she interrupted. "I remember. Modest people." Daniel shifted in his seat. "Mom." But she raised her hand slightly, silencing him without even looking. "I just think," she continued, "that marriages should be balanced." The word hung in the air, like a quiet accusation. I felt my chest tighten, but I kept my voice steady. "Daniel and I are happy. That's what matters." Eleanor smiled. Not kindly. "Happiness is temporary," she said. "Stability is what lasts." Then she placed her fork down and finally looked at me, really looked at me. "Tell me, do you truly believe you can give my son the life he deserves?" Silence filled the room. Daniel didn't speak. He didn't defend me. And in that moment, something inside me shifted, not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to make me notice. I set my glass down, carefully. "I believe," I said, calm and clear, "that your son is capable of choosing his own life." For the first time, her smile faltered, but only for a second. "Of course," she said smoothly. "We'll see." Dinner ended soon after, but not before she added one last thing, almost casually, like it didn't matter. "Oh, and tomorrow," she said, dabbing her lips with a napkin, "there will be a small change to the ceremony. Nothing major. I'm sure you won't mind." My stomach dropped. "What kind of change?" I asked. She stood up, already dismissing the conversation. "You'll find out." Daniel squeezed my hand as we left, whispering, "Don't worry about her. She's just like this." But as I looked back at Eleanor Whitmore standing in the doorway, watching me with that same unreadable expression, I realized something. This wasn't just dinner. This was a warning. And I had the strange, sinking feeling that tomorrow wasn't going to be the wedding I thought it would be. I didn't sleep that night. Daniel lay beside me, breathing evenly, as if nothing had shifted, as if his mother hadn't just turned our wedding into a question mark. "Did she tell you what she meant?" I whispered into the dark. A pause. "No," he said, but his voice wasn't convincing. That was my second clue. The morning of the wedding arrived too quickly. Everything moved like a blur. Hair, makeup, the soft hum of excitement in the bridal suite. My friends kept smiling, adjusting my dress, telling me how perfect everything was. But something felt off. It started small. The seating arrangement had changed. My parents were no longer in the front row. They'd been moved to the second. I frowned. "That's strange." "Oh," the planner said nervously, "Mrs. Whitmore requested it this morning." Of course she did. Then came the flowers. The ones I had chosen, simple, soft, elegant, were replaced with something far more extravagant. Louder. Not me. Again, her choice. Each detail felt like a quiet erasure, piece by piece, until I wasn't sure whose wedding this was anymore. I found Daniel near the entrance, adjusting his cufflinks. "Did you know about this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "About what?" "All of it." I gestured around us. "The changes. My parents. The ceremony." He hesitated. "I thought it would be easier if we just let her handle things," he said. "Easier." The word stung more than it should have. "For who?" I asked. He didn't answer. Minutes before the ceremony, Eleanor appeared. Elegant, composed, in control. She looked me up and down, her expression unreadable. "I've made a small adjustment to the vows," she said calmly. "A tradition in our family." My heart skipped. What kind of adjustment? She handed me a folded card. "Just a few lines you'll read before Daniel says his." My fingers felt cold as I opened it. And then I read, "I promise to honor the Whitmore name above all else, to uphold its standards, and to follow the guidance of my husband's family in all major decisions." The words blurred. This wasn't a vow. This was a contract. A quiet surrender. I looked up slowly. "I'm not saying this." Eleanor's smile didn't fade. "Then perhaps," she said softly, "this wedding shouldn't happen at all." The room fell silent, and for the first time, Daniel didn't step in. He just stood there, watching me, and in that moment, I realized something terrifyingly clear. This wasn't just about his mother. It was about him too, and I had one choice to make. Right before walking down the aisle, I took a deep breath, letting the silence stretch. "No," I said, voice calm but firm. "I won't sign your words. I'm marrying Daniel, not your rules." Gasps filled the room. Eleanor's smile faltered. Daniel's eyes widened, a flash of shame, or maybe fear, crossing his face. "I'm sorry," I continued, turning to him, "but a marriage isn't a surrender. It's a partnership." For the first time, Daniel spoke, not to defend me, but to choose me. He took my hand. "We'll write our own vows," he said, eyes steady. Eleanor's control shattered in that moment, and as we walked down the aisle together, I realized the real power wasn't in her warnings, it was in refusing to obey them. Our wedding began on our terms, not hers.